Hey guys, Buckeye Bar Guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, that way anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show. Welcome back, everybody. Buckeye Bar Guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Today's date is Monday, July 5th. We hope everybody had a happy 4th of July and enjoying the holiday weekend. Nice 3-day weekend. I took several days off, so I had a 6-day weekend. So it's been a good break from work, back to work tomorrow. But everything going good. We having good. We had
good weekend. You could ask for better weather. Had some ribs on Sunday. Another beautiful day today. I had the choice at work to take Friday or today off due to babysitting reasons. I took off Friday, so I had to work today.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks, but we got through it, and here we are.
Yeah. So we had Buckeye Land. We've had a busy week since the last time we've talked to you guys.
Sure.
Some name, image, and likeness stuff that's live now. We'll go over some of the stuff, just some of our thoughts at the end of the episode on that. But huge recruiting news over the last several days. So we've gotten two huge 2022 kids in Terrance Brooks and Kojo.
Antwi.
We got them. He got him today, actually on Monday, Kojo, Terrance Brooks a few days ago. We'll go over those guys in here in a little bit, but the big one happened yesterday at 4, I think it was 4:10 Eastern. So 10 minutes, which is not the worst. I saw some Buckeye fans complaining that, hurry up and make the commitment. And it's 10 minutes in, at a 4 o'clock commitment, that wasn't actually that bad compared to, I've sitting refreshing Twitter before for 35 minutes waiting for somebody.
I feel like one that comes to mind, I don't know if it was quite as long as JT's, but I feel like Marvin Wilson's. I remember his from a couple years back when he went to Florida State, and that was one that wasn't right at whenever he said it was going to be. And I think Jaden Woodby, he was another one that, it was going to be at this time, and you're hitting refresh for a couple minutes there. So it was nothing out of the ordinary. I'm not going to say the other guys went any longer, but they weren't right away. Like, this has happened before.
Yeah.
Nothing to get upset about.
So the news of the day is JT Tuimoloau, the last major 2021 commitment that was still on the board. He wanted to see some of the schools before he committed. He'll be in for this coming season. He picked Ohio State over Oregon, USC, and Washington. So that was huge. Depending on the service you look at, he's the number one when you take in the composite of all the services, he's number one, and the number on overall player. He's believed top 4 in every recruiting. I think ESPN has as 4, and he's top 4 in all of them. And then so when you take him, considering he's the highest defensive player Ohio State has ever gotten in the recruiting. Number wise, beating out Jack Sawyer and Jack was the first commit. It was 882 days as of yesterday. So Jack committed in February of 2019, and the yesterday was JTT. So
Jack always knew where he wanted to go.
So outside of the fact that they're just two phenomenal players,
that really says something, though, man. Think of some of the defensive studs that have come through Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're both here, and they're going to be, just wild. And before we just get into the impact of the entire class as a whole, just the impact of what JTT could bring. The dude's a a man beast already.
He's a wrecking ball.
287 pounds, I think I saw that, coming in, whatever.
275 to 285, somewhere in that range.
So, I mean, it's like, that's a ridiculous size already. You figure even with him being behind the 8 ball, Jack Sawyer looked pretty ready to go, just a couple weeks on campus, in the spring game. So I think that, I think JTT and Jack Sawyer will be better players next year. JTT specifically because, he is coming in a little later, but I expect him to play this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Get serious reps. And because I think Mick and LJ will have him ready to go come season time. So,
yeah, I don't have any doubt that the kid's going to get meaningful snaps this year. I mean, as long as, he stays healthy and everything, probably see him in that first game against Minnesota. Definitely we'll see him, I would figure, against Oregon. It's just crazy to think about. You got the number 1 player in the country. And I'm guilty. Like, I just took it for what it was worth for what they were saying. And I didn't really watch the kid's film until he had committed. I watched it yesterday and today. Oh my gosh. I mean, that guy is a monster for one. He can move though. I mean, he's in the backfield not every play, but he's in the backfield all the time, making plays on the quarterback, running back. He's running people down. Like, he doesn't seem like he ever loses the ball. I mean, great hustle on all the plays. And from what I can tell, and you never know about like the competition people are playing, and especially when like it's the one like major D1 guy out there against all those other guys. But holy crap, the kid can play tight end too. Like, he is very, very hard to guard.
Oh, I mean,
huge mismatch for a lot of guys.
He's a phenomenal enough basketball player that Chris Holtzman, the help with the getting him into Ohio State is giving him a spot on the basketball team.
Yep,
so
from what we heard, he might be playing basketball too.
So
I don't want to be holding my breath every time I see him coming down with a rebound.
Yeah, but hey, whatever, those two sports guys, it helps them, develops them a lot of times even better.
Yeah.
So it's obviously, though, he's athletic enough that, I mean, Ohio State's they're a Division I basketball program that does fairly well. So that if they think that he could come play there, that, they are confident enough. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, realistically, the kid could be playing a national title game in January and going into March Madness 2 months later.
Yeah, that's wild to think. But yeah, no, I was, just stupid excited. I mean, first of all, and it's no fault to him. There's some kids that have dragged recruitments out for a long time for, so maybe, these kids love the spotlight, not blaming them, anything like that. This wasn't that. He really wanted to see these schools. COVID prevented him to really get out he wanted to come east to see both Ohio State and Alabama, ended up canceling the Alabama visit, but definitely wanted to see Ohio State. And even the West Coast schools, I mean, some of the most strictest protocols in the country were on the West Coast. So it's not like he could really go out and travel to USC and Oregon either. And I'm sure he got to see Washington a little bit more, being an in-state school.
Sure.
But, he wanted to see all those schools. So, kudos to him. He waited his timeline. He wanted to see these schools. And it took forever for the NCAA to lift the dead period. They finally did. He finally was able to get on the road, and Ohio State won it at the end of the day. He said that he just felt like he was home when he visited. And he said that just the players, both the current players on the team and his future teammates are, it's just the brotherhood. I mean, we've heard that over and over and over from the coaching staff, but so you hear it from players that, they really view this as a family environment, and that's what wanted. I mean, you could tell he has a very strong relationship with his family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could tell that from his commitment video, and it was just an awesome sight to see him unzip that trench coat, and there was the Ohio State shirt underneath it, and
it's like kind of like it was like a script too, or
it was a nice sweatshirt too.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm
I'm gonna have to look into getting one of them.
Yeah. Overall, so what is it? I mean, now you think about it. So in the composite top 10, Ohio State signed 5 of these kids.
That's unheard of.
And
I don't know if Alabama's ever done that. Like, I don't I don't know if Meyer, his 1 year with Florida, like his last recruiting class with Florida, or maybe the one before his last one. I don't know if they did that. I mean, I don't know if Georgia's ever done it, as high as they've ever been. Like, we're talking 5 national top 10, not the 5 out of the top 10 in Ohio.
Yeah.
5 national top 10 kids.
And JC Latham, who's also on that list, I mean, he went to Alabama. He was a huge Ohio State lean, and everybody says if it wasn't for COVID and him not being able to get up to campus during the year, that's the biggest reason why he committed to Alabama. And so, I mean, if they didn't have all those restrictions, he wanted to get his recruitment over with and not wait any longer. And, I don't blame him there too. No. Alabama's a great school.
Right.
I mean,
it's not like you're going wrong by going to Alabama.
So, I mean, he chose a good opportunity for him, but if he would have been allowed to travel, I mean, there's a good chance we would have tied up 6 guys that are top 10 players in the country. And that's ridiculous to get 5 and just to think that they were that close to getting a 6.
Right. That's just crazy to think about, but that's how close it was.
Yeah. So love hearing that. I mean, these kids are going to be a special class. I mean, both Alabama still ended up with the best class just because they had a few more recruits than Ohio State kids. Ohio State sounds like, I mean, Alabama obviously got a great number.
Oh, they had 16 in the top 100. They still had more top 100 kids than Ohio State too.
Phenomenal too. I mean, both these classes, I mean, aren't they like the 2 best classes ever in the history of
I believe so.
I mean, they both passed.
Gotta be.
I think the 2017 Ohio State had the highest recruited ranking, and then they both passed it. So
yeah, I'm trying to look it up real quick. I don't know if I'll get a connection or not, but I believe. I mean, they're still.
I think Ohio State was at like a 95.8, and then or a 95, and then or 94.8, and then Alabama was like at a 95 or 96.
Well, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, average rating for Ohio State was 94.76. And let me see, Alabama's was 95. So it was that close.
Yeah. So
Ohio State probably did have, well, obviously, I mean, we just said it. They had more top end guys. Alabama just had more in the top 100. No. And they had more overall.
And probably JC Latham ends up being the difference.
Oh, I would imagine, yes. He would be the difference. We would be number 1 if we would have locked him down. But
yeah, so
I'm not gonna, cry about number 2 in the recruiting rating.
Yeah. So just crazy class. So if these guys pan out, you're always going to get guys in some of these classes that don't pan out. But if Ohio State over the last several years, they've hit more home runs and I think they've hit strikeout or got strikeouts on their guys. So
yeah,
they are if as long as it pans out, which I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, this should be a very, very special class.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's wow. And I mean, just going off now from the class to the defensive line. So what are we looking at? You got JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, 2 top 5 defensive ends. They're going to be your starters next year for sure. I mean, barring something crazy, you already got, your 2 starting defensive ends. For
and then the one kid,
you got Mike Hall,
and he's the 13th defensive lineman, right?
I
think they got what for just defensive lineman.
I think he's a top 100.
Yeah,
he's a top 100 recruit. He's your defensive tackle, and then you got Tyleek Williams, who's going to be your big nose guard.
Yeah, so I mean,
they are stacked.
It's stacked, and then you think about what's already on the team. I mean, when you Zach, I can't think of his last name.
Harrison.
Yeah, Zach Harrison. And then Tyreek
Smith, Javante John Baptiste, who I couldn't think of his name last week.
Yeah,
Tyler Friday. I mean, they are just loaded everywhere. You got 6 starters as your defensive ends. You got Teron Vincent, who was at one time the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, and you play next to Haskell Garrett.
Yeah, and you've heard both him and Antwi have been looking.
Jackson and Cage have been looking good.
So it seems like they're going to be super deep now, and that they're probably good 2 deep on the both the defensive tackles positions, 3 deep if these guys really play. Plus, there's other guys in the mix, and then
you got 2 freshmen that are ready to contribute as ends. And, you and I have talked about, when Urban Meyer, he really took them to the next level was when he really wanted to beef up the lines. That's kind of like, that was the difference between SEC and where Ohio State was top end offensive, defensive line play and depth to that defensive line. We're in territory now that's just like unheard of, though. I mean, this is beyond SEC depth and talent on a defensive line.
Yeah.
This might be like one of the most talented defensive lines. When it's all said and done, what you're going to see going on the field next year throughout the classes as guys graduate, other guys come in. But this collective, 6 and whatever the defensive tackles are, the success these guys might have might be the greatest defensive line ever.
And JTT is already on Twitter recruiting Abor, which is in the next class.
And yeah, you got him and White for defensive ends for the next class.
They're both high on Ohio State. I mean, it's a fight, but if you end up,
which the one, go ahead. Because I know he said he was talking about that his decision was made up. So I don't know if he said when he's going to announce or not.
No good. Yeah, but we were then just going to start moving us into 22 talk. I mean, we still got, several months until that class gets signed. But I mean, that class on paper is already starting to look phenomenal. They've already now hit 2 home runs this week on that with both getting Brooks and Kojo. So they're going to be, Brian Hartline just continues to kill it on the receiving. I mean, it's 4 big time receivers now he's got coming into the next class. And that's for that, feels like the 10th year in a row, we're getting the number 1 receiver in the country. So.
Well, I mean, for what feels like the 10th year in a row, we're getting like 4 top 200 receivers in the country.
Yeah. So, I mean, Brian Hartline is, they haven't changed Ohio State's identity, because you look what's in the backfield that has come in but what they've done just in the quarterback room and in the receiving room. And I mean, Ohio State's had some phenomenal receivers, but I mean, this is like scary level where they're going with this receiving core that, they're putting guys every year. They're getting 4 guys that are top 200 kids. And I mean, they got 6 guys that are, depending on the class, we're top 100 kids, that are just balling out. We're going to go play football and let's see who in the hell in the country can cover them.
I mean, it would be, because I think you had the production out of 2, but I don't think you had it out of necessarily 3 last year. And that's not JMO's fault. That's just kind of circumstantial, we've talked about it. Just, you kind of had to go with what you were comfortable with because of the COVID year.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen since 2005 really a 3 wide receiver spread. When I'm talking about Ginn, Holmes, Gonzalez,
or any one of them could have killed you at any
contributed
moment.
Like they did. But I can't imagine that this year and moving forward, we're not going to get something pretty damn close to that every year.
I mean, I think we will be. I mean, you're looking at a 6 deep easily, but you're looking at 3 to 4, possibly 5, possibly 6 guys that are going to be contributors that are going to score legitimate touchdowns. I mean, the class from a few years ago, I would say that there was still not Ginn, Holmes, and Gonzo, but I mean, when you had KJ and McLaurin and Paris and
Johnny Dixon.
I mean, they were, and then
Olave is young then. You're talking
the
18?
2 big guys.
Ben Victor and
Mac.
Austin Mack.
Yeah, and so those guys contributed. You really definitely the little guys were more the hitters, but those 2 guys contributed too. So that was a solid receiving core. I mean, this is still a lights out, and this has just the writing on the wall that this is going to be just the most deadly receiving core in the country. And it's like, again, there's nothing perfect for a younger quarterback. He's going to have a good offensive line in front of him. He's just going to have a lot of weapons, and he's not going to have to do too much. And especially early in the season where it's just like, just find the open guy and hit him, and then let them do what they have to do.
And this next statement is strictly potentially, like, I'm strictly speaking potential here. So don't like jump down my throat and come at me, because I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying it could happen. You could lose Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave this year, and your receivers could be better next year.
Yeah, that's crazy to think of. And
I'm not saying that will happen. There is the potential that could be next year.
You'll have a quarterback that's a year older. Yeah, and those you're gonna have plenty of guys to get plenty of playing time here, and they're going to be right on par, I think, with them, and you could be losing a lot of those two guys, and still have. I mean, when you think about a JSN and Harrison and Buka and Fleming, I mean, those guys are all going to get legitimate playing time this year, and then you still have Ballard in there and a couple other guys for the following year.
I don't know what Cam Babb's doing. Did he get hurt again?
I'm not sure.
It's like you were hearing about him and then you stopped hearing about him. So I'm not sure. He might have got hurt again.
Yeah. So
I hope not.
Yeah, me too. I would really like to see him contribute. I mean, he's been such a good guy on the field, on the team, that you really would like to see him.
I wonder how he could do as a return man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he got surgery on both knees, so I'm not sure what the moves are like anymore, but it was electric in high school.
Yeah. So for 22, with now adding Kojo, that 4 big time receivers that they've added. I mean, the number one guy in Burton and all the other guys. I mean, it's just again a phenomenal receiver.
Caleb Brown,
Kojo,
Kyon Graves,
and
he looked damn good at the Elite 11.
Yeah, man. With Quinn
or the opening, whichever one it is.
Yeah, he was looking really phenomenal.
That looked like a good connection right there.
Yeah. But I'm really excited. I know we're gonna be fighting off a lot of teams, but what they've added to the possible secondary. I mean, the Brooks is now that's 4 guys, big time guys that they've added in.
Oh yeah.
And again, they needed them. It seems like they got more depth this year than they had the previous year. And now you're going to be adding in even more depth and quality depth. And so, I mean, a lot of people thought Brooks was going to end up going out to Alabama, and, the Buckeyes got him. Another Texas kid now it's like our biggest pipelines are Texas and Washington. And it's like we found some nice home runs.
I mean, Tressel might have pulled. What did he ever pull out of Texas? There was one lineman that's name was it Shigards?
Yeah, he did get. Yeah,
was he the Texas guy?
Because Knox is Meyer, right? That's not the end of Tressel's tenure.
Yeah. And because the other guy is Adams was from Dublin, and the center Brewster, was he a Minnesota kid?
Yeah, something like that.
Or was he Ohio?
No, he was Florida. It was
Mike Brewster was?
Yeah, I think so. Brewster was out of Florida, and Shikarts, it was Texas.
Maybe Chantrell Henderson. Was he Minnesota? Someone's sticking out as Minnesota to me.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Wasn't he a player's son that played for the Vikings?
Maybe. I don't know. I knew he was a mountain. That's all I know. But yeah, so I mean, but then Meyer had a lot of success in Texas also. It just seems like it's like, man, and he has his ends in the Northwest too.
And then now you look at it
which Meyer even really didn't do that much outside of ball and
we've talked
Wyatt Davis.
Yeah, we've talked about what they've pulled now out of the West, and it's just like. It's like they are definitely feasting on USC being down, because what they're pulling out of the West, it's like, yeah, there's good kids out there too. And, obviously they're going to go after, you're going after your Ohio kids, the ones you want. You're going to fight it out for some of these big Southern kids, but there's a lot of heavy hitters in the South when you think about all the SEC schools. And then you also got Clemson and Florida State and at times Miami. So you got a lot of heavy hitters in the Southeast. And so it's like, okay, we're going to take opportunities that Texas has been down, and we're going to go into Texas, and then we're going to go out West and really pick off some of these 4 or 5 star kids that are out West, that if we can get them to come East, I mean, these are big wins.
I mean, is it just a realistic point right now that USC is the only team that has the potential to do that out in the West? Yeah, I mean,
it seems like it. I mean, the fact that
they've been down and no one got up, it was like no one rose to the occasion when USC went down to take these recruits. Just the powerhouses from
Ohio State
East and South, they took them.
Yeah, Ohio State's lost 5-star kids out of their state before, and
we lost one to Notre Dame just now.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Ohio State has went into Washington now in 3 cycles, and it's taken a 5-star player, because Scott was a 5-star player and at least a couple of the recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, he was a really high rated 4-star.
So
Scott was a 4-star.
He was right on the brink of, being there, but now you've gotten back-to-back 5 stars.
Well, they're the same class.
Okay.
Like Buka and JTT are the same class.
Okay, so
there was 20. You didn't have anybody.
Okay, so they've gotten 2 straight cycles.
But you got CJ Stroud, and and 20 got Stroud from California.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about Washington. So Washington
2 out of 3 cycles.
Yeah, so Washington didn't pull any of those 3 kids.
Correct.
Now Ohio State, if you would have had the same situation in Ohio State at minimum is getting 2 of them, possibly all 3 of them, and if they were from Ohio.
And I don't know which one of them are going out to Washington.
No, they're not.
So, and I understand that you're talking about maybe Alabama or Clemson pulling a kid.
Yeah.
From
Ohio. So who's coming out west? Who's going in the west to Ohio? I mean, the only one I ever could think of is Fred Davis, and
but USC, they could do that, and I'm kind of like going off on a tangent, and that was my original point. My original point was USC kept the kids home, but to go further off of that, they could go get other kids, where it just seems like, you might get your Kayvon Thibodeau miraculously for Oregon here and there, but just once USC went down, no one has that power in the West Coast to rise up to where USC was.
Yeah. Now, even though Oregon did lose JTT, they did get Kelvin Banks yesterday.
That's a big,
that was a huge get for them out of Texas, and so they were on the brink of. It seemed like it was a no-brainer where JTT was going, but he kept everything very close to the vest. So, there was a few minutes there where it's like, man, they could pull 2 5-stars today, and that would be pretty huge. And so 21 is now all done. 22 now it's there's a few spots going to be left, and it's now fighting to keep keeping the guys that we have in the class.
Yeah, but you're getting closer every day to signing day.
Yeah.
So we'd love to get Dasa McCullough back.
Yeah.
Don't think it's going to happen. He's with his brothers and his dad, but that would be a pleasant flip.
No, I think I was talking to one of the other podcast guys, and we're actually going to do this in the next episode, just because we'll have a little bit more time, unless there's some crazy amount of recruits this week, which could happen. It's just, we'll probably have a couple dead weeks here heading into fall camp and then getting ready.
That's not too far away.
But yeah, it's literally 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So
this is the last month, and I know we're the beginning of July, but this is the last month without football until March of next year.
Yeah, which is awesome. But so we'll definitely do this in the next episode. It was the Buck Off pod. We were talking about, could any an all-star team within the Big Ten, could they even beat Ohio State? And we'll get more into it, but no. And
we'll pose the question for people that follow us on Twitter.
Yeah,
see what they have to say about
and
because they might bring up some good points we're not thinking of.
But you brought up this great. So out of the top 10 kids that are recruits for 22 for Big Ten schools, 7 of them are going to Ohio State.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for McCullough leaving to go to Indiana, we would have 8. We would have 8. Only Wisconsin and Michigan each have 1.
Right. Correct.
So, what's going on with Penn State?
But Penn State has a really high class, though. So right now, I want to say nationally, Penn State is, as it stands, they might be 3rd or 4th in the 22 rankings.
Rutgers is ahead of Michigan.
Yeah, I want to talk about that another day, too. Because I don't want to run out of time. But I did want to ask you if you think that they're going to finish the cycle ahead of Michigan.
If they do, that'd be great. Great for me. Consider, I will say it's great because Michigan, they tweeted out the other day, the actual checkmarked Michigan athletic department, the football team, about their highlights for this year. And the highlight they used for the day that I saw it, because a bunch of Buckeye people were sharing it, was their win over
their overtime win over Rutgers. Right.
And
I walk away from week 3 hugely embarrassed that we give up some trick play punt return touchdown.
Yeah.
I think another trick play touchdown that game. and Michigan, hangs their hat on we beat Rutgers in overtime. So, I mean, it's a different philosophy. It's different schools, different mentalities for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a rowing school now, right? Softball.
Yeah.
No, they didn't win softball. They didn't win basketball. They didn't win baseball. I don't know. What school are they now? Swimming.
Yeah. They're probably a swimming
They're
school.
good swimmers there, I think.
Yeah. All right, so we've talked about recruiting, and obviously, recruiting is a weekly thing. We know God only knows it could happen more. We could get more this week, and then next week will be a big recruiting.
Those are really big gets when you think of it. I mean, you had the number one recruit in 21 finally committed to your school. You pulled a kid that a lot of people from Texas for one, but a lot of people thought he could go to Alabama, A&M, one of those SEC powers, and then you just pulled a receiver straight from SEC country. From is it Sewanee, Georgia?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I know we had someone from Sewanee years ago.
There's been some big name kids that have come out of Sewanee.
I'm gonna have to look which one it was, but you pulled a receiver from SEC country who I think composites like 115. He's only going to go up from there.
Yeah, and
he's a burner too.
And just the last thing because I did want to mention this before we move on to name, image, and likeness. I mean, look when we were talking about Texas. I mean, look what we've done. I mean, we've taken Quinn Ewers, Caleb Burton, and now Terrance Brooks and Dewberry. I mean, there's a lot of chatter that he could be they're both. There's some. Dewberry right now. There's a lot of chatter that he could be a Buckeye. That he's a huge Buckeye lean, and if they're pushing hard for a Bohr, especially some of the players getting on, and now what. If he wants to come play with this defensive line, it's like, my God. I mean, you could literally take 5 of their top 7 players and
absolutely. I think he'll be a hard sell because I believe if I read right, heard right, I think he's a lifelong Oklahoma fan. So I think it's going to be hard considering how good they are, but
even if they pull Dewberry, you get 4 out of the top 7 kids or whatever, top 8 kids, I don't know, in the state of Texas. I mean, and they go to Ohio.
I mean, I don't know if that's a better haul than what was it, Dobbins, Okuda, and Browning, but it's close.
It's right there. It's pretty much the same thing happening all over again.
Right.
When you supposedly got new blood in your state school,
Was Sheffield technically from Texas too?
Yeah, I think so. But you got new blood. Got new blood in your state school. Usually at a school like Texas, when you get a guy like Sark, he cleans up for at least the first couple years because he should be.
Well, he's not. That just tells me he's not generating that type of interest.
Yeah, and then A&M, you would think Jimbo would be.
I thought the state of Texas. I mean, I think. What's Tom Herman?
Yeah.
I thought Tom Herman was going to clean up Texas. And then when he wasn't, I thought Jimbo was going to clean up Texas. And then when he left, I especially thought Jimbo was going to clean up Texas. And it's like, no one's taking the reins over there. I mean, no. Jimbo Fisher, for as good as a recruiter as he is, he's letting kids get out of there.
Guys that are cleaning up Texas are named Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley.
SMU got a freaking 5-star receiver.
That could be taking us into name, image, and likeness. And the ponies are back.
The Pony Express, Pony Excess. It's all coming back.
Yeah. It's a great 30 for 30.
I do like that one a lot.
All right. Name, image, and likeness. So, last time we talked about it, we talked about the bill that was going through Ohio and that, we gave our feelings about how, just adding stuff to bills can be headaches but I believe it was on Tuesday, Governor DeWine signed an executive order that they was going to go into place come Wednesday or come Thursday, right on time with everybody else's that already have it passed. And then the NCAA and NCAA fashion, wait till the last freaking minute, and Wednesday evening they passed it on their own. That they said that it's up to the schools to decide, how the best within. There's some exceptions to it.
Sure,
but so name, image, and likeness is here. So just a couple things on just the Ohio State front. So Nicholas Petit Ferrer, he immediately, I believe he was the first. He might have been the second. He comes out.
Well, he was. I think he was the loudest about it. Not loudest, but you know what I mean. Like he put it on Twitter and everything. I think he was just the most visual, like the quickest one you could see.
Yeah, so he's a spokesman for Flix CV, which is a Tampa area startup. You know, he was from Tampa. He went to IMG, right?
Yeah.
Or he went to one of the other ones.
No, I don't think he went to IMG, but
he's just from a school down there. But yeah, so he's from that area. And basically what they are is a resume recruiter. So they make videos of your resume.
Yeah, it's video marketing for recruiting. So pretty much, I mean, from what I gathered from is you have your resume, but it's like kind of you do a video interview with it. So you get to highlight your points as, you know, as a candidate, and you get to kind of answer questions and just, you know, it's more so the video resume. So,
yeah. So he's now the spokesman for them. So that, I mean, that was a big get. I mean, good for him. Taraja Mitchell, he started his own apparel company.
Above the
Realm. Some nice designs on there. I'm looking once he gets, I know he's got his Instagram page up and running, but thinking about picking up one of those bad boys, because I did like the designs on those shirts. And you know, Munford and Jack Sawyer, Barstool announced that they are starting a marketing division called Barstool Athletes, and you know, they are now officially Barstool Athletes. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then there's some other ones. I know Ryan Watts joined up with a couple of the basketball players. They started a company to play video games with athletes and different things like that. And
yeah. I think so.
So it seems like kind of maybe like a Twitch type thing, and so on and so on. But I mean, just your general thoughts on just what you've seen out of Ohio State. It seems like they've hit the ground running.
Well, they hit the ground running. The kids are, you know, all about it. I read somewhere that just like LSU, I think Kirk Barton actually updated and said Ohio State was on board with this also. As long as they had permission, you know, the logos could be in any sort of like advertisement that the kids did, as long as they had the school's permission. The facilities and logos could be involved.
Yeah, which makes sense, because you figure some of these, some of these companies that probably would want them as spokesperson, especially if it's a big name company, you know, they're going to want, you know, if they're going to use an Ohio State player, they probably want an Ohio State logo.
Right.
So, I mean, that makes sense. And
don't get me wrong, like Ohio State fans, we love the players, but it's all about the school. It's all about the university. And these businesses, they're not idiots. Like they know that also. They know, to me, and I mean, like I said, I love the players. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott's probably my favorite player in memory of recent memory. But I mean, come 2016, you know, I still love Ohio State that Zeke's gone.
Well, and
just as much.
I think where it's a big deal is that hardcore fans, I mean, I consider us hardcore fans. Like, yeah, that Above the Realm, that looked really cool. I'm probably going to go buy one of those.
Sure.
I think for the casual general fans that, you know, they might not know an everyday look of an Ohio State player over any other player. And so, you know, having the Ohio State logo in it, you know, is an important thing.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the big deal.
And that's a game changer too.
Yeah. So, super excited about all this stuff with, I mean, everybody should know what our opinions on it is. I felt it was always the best way to go to let the players, you know,
it's long overdue,
and they will now get to, you know, live into, you know, they'll be able to capitalize off what they are. And it's not just about endorsements. I've seen a lot of people mention, you know, a lot of old sports reporters about, you know, well, some guys are going to make more money than other guys and blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. I mean, first of all, yeah, that's the case, and it's going to happen in the NFL. So if you want to go to the next league, you know, there's going to be some guys that are going to make a lot more money than other guys. And I mean, there's nothing you can really do about that. That's part of life. But on the other side of it, I don't think a lot of these guys realize that just the difference in 2021 and just, again, the reach that some of these kids have on social media and how big YouTube celebrities and social media influencers are nowadays, that, I mean, there's a lot of avenues where these kids could make a lot of money.
I think that's going to be something for female athletics. At least I hope so. I think some of those girls are going to clean up that they're such big presences on, Twitters and YouTubes and TikToks and all the social media. I think that's going to be something that they're going to end up making, a lot more money than what a lot of people thought going into this. I think a lot of people just thought, basketball players and football players are the only ones going to make money. I don't think that's true. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to have a chance to make some money.
I think, exactly. And, and again, it all comes down to numbers. And that's all I've always said. I've always posted that on Twitter, is that, I mean, if I'm these players, I would work to continue getting followers on all your social media sites, because right now that's going to all equal money.
Oh yeah,
that's cash. So
yeah, absolutely,
as Randy Moss likes to say, that's straight cash, homie. So that's you gotta just that's basically branding yourself. And so kudos to all these guys. We saw those two twins, female basketball stars from Fresno State. I mean, was it Boost Mobile or T-Mobile? I can't remember which one, but one of the cell phone companies.
Boost, I think.
Yeah, they got a huge deal out of. It seems like that one gymnast out of LSU, who she's got like 5 million combined followers amongst. She's gonna clean up.
Sure. I
saw a couple things about one of the Nebraska volleyball stars, a couple other volleyball players around the country. So, I mean, yeah, there's going to be, and you think about some of the big wrestlers that came through at Ohio State, some of those guys are going to be able to really, do some different things. And there's just a lot of opportunities that people don't think of. That is just, it's not just about, going on doing a Coca-Cola commercial or a Pepsi commercial or a Gatorade commercial. I mean, there's other things,
so many opportunities out there. And just like NPF, like you might have a startup that they want a spokesperson, they want a face of their company, and they're going to go to an Ohio State football player because of that.
Yeah. And if a lot of these guys end up becoming smart, they'll build companies out of this. I mean, we see what Taraja Mitchell's doing. A couple other guys around the country I've seen started. I saw one of the female stars. I can't remember university she goes to. She started her own apparel company. People like MPF, I don't know what his deals was, whether he's getting paid in money or whether he might have asked for, like, just give me a percentage of the company. I mean, that's what LeBron does and that's, these companies come to him wanting to sponsor, and he asked, I mean, that's how he became portion of the owner of East Liverpool, or not East Liverpool, over in the soccer club in Europe.
Right.
That, they wanted him to do some marketing for him, and he just said, all right, give me a percentage of the club. And okay. And so like, you don't know what different things, like getting a percentage of a startup somewhere, if that ends up getting sold for big bucks, I mean, and happens all the time.
Oh, that could be huge money.
I mean, that could be, depending on when you get in. I mean, there's a possibility you could, just sign your rookie contract in the NFL and become a millionaire just because from that. And then on top of it,
right,
you make a boatload of cash just from a startup being sold. So,
yep.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of cool things about this, and just a lot of different opportunities that a lot of people just don't think of. So,
and you shared with me the one guy from, I think it was on the Michigan board that was like, well, now with name, image, and likeness, Alabama and Ohio State, they just made it easier for the bagmen. Like, 2 points, like you didn't realize that before JTT signed, but 2, like, you guys, the Michigan fans, they argue with me that they are the most recognized brand globally.
Yeah.
So they should be like doing backflips because of this.
Yeah. Now you guys compete for athletes, because now, you can have companies in your backyard.
You're the brand that people want. Like, yeah, I know that. They're just asinine. They'll just come up with one excuse after the next.
Yeah. They'll be the ones complaining when kids are still not signing. Well, get better sponsors or something. I mean,
I don't.
All I ever hear is about how much money the University of Michigan has, and about, all the famous alumni that they've had come out of their school, and they're top in this, they're the best law firm and the best this and the best that. And, all right, you got some, the guy from Little Caesar or Domino's, I don't remember which one, went to Michigan, and,
You obviously don't care about football.
Okay, so reach out to those guys and give them some sponsorship deals.
Right, yeah. So. Try to win a football game.
Yeah.
You won't do it. They won't do it.
All right. Anything else on name, image, and likeness?
No, I'm excited to see where it goes. I think we might be in the Wild West, but it also seems like might be a little bit more chill than what everyone thought it would be too.
Yeah. I mean, there will be some Wild West things, but things will get figured out as they go on. I mean, this should have been done a long time ago. I mean, I'm glad the state started putting some pressure on it. We will probably within the next year or two. I mean, the federal government moves like molasses, but we'll probably eventually get a federal bill out of Congress and, signed by the president that will, have a unified structure for the whole country. And that will probably be, what finally settles things down. But
in my personal opinion, when it comes to the future, and I'm sure there's a ton of old school people that will argue with me about this. I think kids are smarter today than what they were, 80s, 90s when it came to their future. I think you could drive a car up to a kid in the, early 80s and they would sign to your school. I don't think it quite takes that. I think you need a little bit more than that for today.
That's a good point. And I'll make it quick. I think there's a difference too in the role models that are shown on TV nowadays. I think a lot of some of the athletes of the 80s and stuff, in the 90s, it was all about the flashiness and, the big cars and the big this. And I think that probably now guys like LeBron are celebrated, especially in, kudos to ESPN and stuff like that. At least in the national media, a lot of that stuff is really celebrated, how to become businessmen and, get your piece of the pie that way. And so I think that these kids just have it's just a much different mindset now that the guys that they're looking at, it's about building businesses than it is about, I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini with that, buy your business, start a business and go buy your Lamborghini with your business. So,
and that's what I feel the same way as that. I could be dead wrong. So if I'm proven wrong, that's fine. I don't care. But I mean, I feel like, I don't think you're going to see as many stupid decisions as what people think that's going to happen. Yeah. I don't think every top, 10 recruit is going to hear from some Alabama car dealership owner that's going to be trying to get them down there. Hey, I'm going to, pay you X amount of dollars and you can just be a sponsor for me. I don't think we're going to run into that as much as what people think.
And people are freaking out about that stuff. And I tried to talk to somebody. I've been like, it's a little different now because first of all, these kids can sign with agents. So Mr. Alabama car dealership or Columbus car dealership, man, or whoever car dealership guy wants to come in. Well, first of all, now you got an agent that might be like, well, if you're going to give them $10,000, why not $15,000? So you might be paying more. You also got the corporations involved now. So now big time corporations can come in and be like, I want you to be my spokesman and here's a check. And so Mr. Car Dealership man is going to have to fight on, corporations that have boatloads of cash. And if they really want a Justin Fields type or a Trevor Lawrence type to be the face of their thing, like, Mr. Carly just man's not going to be writing the check that they're going to be writing. So there's different competition at that level now that, there was never there for the secret handshakes and stuff. Yeah. And now that it's all out in the open, there could be some actual interesting competing for people.
I think there's going to be some interesting things though. Like, with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, does that have a national reach? Can those guys can a company, like a big time company, go after one of them to be like a national spokesman?
I think they could.
Will it happen? I don't know, but
I think I really do think that I bet we'll see Nike and Under Armour. They will probably take some of their big name kids that go to Nike schools.
Yeah.
So Ohio State, Alabama, and some of the other ones. Under Armour's Notre Dame, a few is Clemson and Under Armour.
It's got to be Maryland.
Yeah, but there will be a Maryland kid, but they have some actual
Clemson, Adidas. I don't know.
But you know what I'm kind of.
I know Nebraska's Adidas.
I could see, they take 10, 12 kids for some of these brands and be like, all right, you're our Nike college athletes this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I see stuff like that happening.
I did see EA Sports. They're going to have a big announcement on a past video game series mid-July.
I mean, they've already announced college football. It's got to be one of the other ones, right?
But they said that, they might decide that might not be all the kids in college football, but they might decide to, pay some people to put them in the game.
All right. Well, we might be getting to that. All right, let's get on out of here.
I just like college football.
I know. I want to play the game again. I think we'll be forcing us whether it's these current generations of systems or if it's the next one.
Now, will you be angry though in the next college football game if they don't include an 8 or at least an 18 playoff at the end of it because so much speculation has been out?
Yeah.
Should they at least include it regardless if that's changed or not?
No, I think they will include probably.
Or do you think they'll stick to 4 because that's the current system?
We'll probably by the time they might have a few variations already built.
I think they should just have a custom thing.
And then they'll probably have a better idea because we'll find out within the next year.
I'm good.
What that new playoff format's going to end up being. So
if EA Sports wants to just give me 8 games, that's fine.
We're probably 2-3 years out from a football game, and we'll probably know within the next year if they are going. I doubt they'll have the game ready by next year.
Let's just have it 2 years then. Don't say 3. 2 years.
All right.
I mean, you just copy the Madden engine.
Before we go to down in college football, I would
go down a rabbit hole now.
All right, I'm gonna.
You're cutting it off
for now. All right. So let's get on out of here.
All right. Well, thank you all for stopping in tonight at the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
Mike.
OH.
IO.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added. And please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.